to my show today. Today I'm very excited to bring to you the new Lego Taj Mahal. Lego just announced it and has released pictures of the new Taj Mahal. There, you can see it there. And I'm very excited because Lego has provided me with a pre-release copy of the Taj Mahal from 2008. All right, it's not really a pre-release, but it is exactly the same thing. The artwork is the same. Since they probably green screened it, this image is the same. They just changed the clouds a little bit, same lens flare. Yes, that has one more piece. Great. A lot of people think maybe it's a piece separator. And Lego was so kind as to also say that they did make one small modification. You can see that they added a different colored axle somewhere within the Taj Mahal itself. So are you excited about the set? I'm sort of excited about this set. It depends what kind of Lego enthusiast you are about whether you're excited. Or just get a whole range of reactions throughout the Lego world about the release of this set. But the biggest question is it a good value? Is it a set that you should buy if you don't already have one? Well, I added it in there with all the other large exclusives. Since it is an exact pre-release, I'm using the weight of this set to calculate that value. It will be a little bit different because the instruction book may be a little bit heavier, the package may be a little bit heavier. But more or less you can see, yes, it's a relatively good value. It fits right in there with all the rest. So as a set being just released, if you don't have it, it's a good value. But how does it affect the Lego community in general? And I'll just pause here just for a second. If that's all you want to know, great. If you want to continue on with me, great. Just to give you an idea of where I'm coming from, as a kid, I really loved Lego. It took me years to understand business structures enough to realize why I couldn't own a share of Lego as a private company. As an adult, after my kids were born, I rediscovered Lego. I rediscovered my love of Lego. And it took me years to give up my dream of trying to open a Lego store working through their wholesale distribution network because they just wouldn't allow it. And that's when I discovered that buying from retail stores and selling on eBay or other places actually made more sense for me anyway. But I'm also a parent of some kids who absolutely love Lego. So I also have some experience from that end. And then I also, unfortunately, have become a collector because become a collector is your biggest money suck of any of this Lego business because then you buy it and it sits. So anyway, so I have a lot of different experiences. So I'm experiencing the set from a lot of different ways. So let's go through some of the different ways that it's affecting different segments of our Lego community because it is a vast Lego community with lots of different opinions and lots of different people from different walks of life. So as an adult, since this is really an adult themed set, there are two main segments. There are the builders and collectors that just want the newest set and they love to build it and they're super excited about the set being released because they don't have one. And that is absolutely great for them. And that happened, same thing with the Millennium Falcon. People who were always wanted one but never wanted to spend $3,000 were suddenly able to get one for $800. Well, maybe you were able to get one for $800, right? That's what I was able to do because I was never put the money up to buy an original. And maybe you didn't want to spend $1,000 on the original Taj Mahal, so now you have an opportunity to buy it for $370. So that is great for those people who just want to buy it and build it and have a spot to put it, right? That's always the key about these big sets, having a spot to put them. But what about the other side of the adult market, and that is the collector market? The collector market is absolutely crushed with this announcement. Absolutely crushed. And yes, I understand Lego's a private company. They're only going to release this if it can make them money. But you would think that they would care a little bit about their adult collectors, especially when it is an adult themed set. And why are they crushed? Well, a little bit of my experience as a collector, this is what I found, is that in any collection I have, I love to have a hole in that collection, something unattainable, something to read about, something to dream about, something to strive for, because I never want my collection to be complete. Because if my collection is complete, if all the holes in my collection are filled, then I'm dead. I want my collection to always be incomplete because that gives me something to strive for. So, collecting baseball cards. If there weren't a Honus Wagner card that was worth $1 million, baseball card collecting would be less interesting, even though that card is unattainable. If you could just go out and expect a reissue and it'd be worth equivalent or have the investor value equivalent of the original, then baseball card collecting would be less interesting. If you're a car collector, I'm never going to be a car collector. If you're a car collector, what car was epitomized the 80s when I grew up? Well, it was a Lamborghini Countach. If you could just go out and buy those anytime, car collecting would be diminished. Now again, US-based coins, I love to collect coins as well. In truth, probably throughout the world, as a kid, you collect the lowest denomination because they are the cheapest. You can get coins 100, 200 years old for mere dollars, right? It's easy for that collection, but that collection is not as interesting if there isn't the rare coin. For me, the 1877 Indian head or the 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent. If those coins didn't exist, if I could just expect a reissue, that collecting would become uninteresting. So as a collector, the re-release of these old sets, having nothing to strive for, makes collecting Lego less interesting. I spent a year trying to find my Taj Mahal, trying to find a nice box, trying to find it complete with nice instructions at a reasonable price, and it is going to end up being the worst financial decision that I have made in my entire Lego collecting career. Does Lego care? I would hope they care a little bit. Obviously, they think that they are going to make more money from the people who don't have one, who want to buy one, than the collectors who are no longer going to be interested in buying a Big Ben, or interested in buying the new double-decker bus, or interested in buying their next major landmark, because they've lost interest in the collecting side of Lego. I certainly have. I won't make that mistake again. So from the collector, re-releasing this set like this absolutely is crushing the collector. What about the investor? The investor doesn't care, right? The investors long moved on from these sets. In fact, the only investors left, because of how Lego has done this, are the ones that want to buy and quick flip this thing, and they will, just like the Millennium Falcon, right? That's not something I do as a collector investor. I did initially when I first started buying and selling because I needed some capital, but I never really liked it, so I don't do it anymore. But there will be many, many people who will, and that is the exact market Lego is creating by re-releasing expensive sets, and it's the expense of the set that makes the new one desirable. And then lastly, there are the kids. And this is not a set for kids. So the kids really have no bearing on this. In fact, I've been reading a book that I think is very interesting. It's called Lego and Philosophy, and there's a passage I'd like to read. Just a paragraph, I know it's a passage. So it's written by, let me get it here, Sandra Bacharach and Roy T. Cook. Here's a quote that they say, "Why is Lego so special?" And they say the simple reason is that Lego, unlike Mattel or Hasbro, doesn't actually make toys. Strictly speaking, Lego isn't a toy. We can make toys with Lego, either by following the instructions or building our own creations. And lots of us do, but we can make virtually anything with Lego. Not just toys. These little plastic bricks are more like a building material or a medium, and probably have as much or more in common with bricks and paint than they have with most of the items in the toy aisle at the local Megamart. An interesting philosophy on the toy aspect of Lego. Now, I sell Lego sets, on Amazon, on eBay. I sell to adults, I sell to kids. But when I sell to a kid, I'm selling them a set at retail value. If the kid comes in and says, I really want a gunship, I'm not going to say, oh, $250, I'm going to sell you my gunship. I'm going to say, why don't you wait for the re-release? Or why don't you buy one of these other sets? I mean, that's why there are multiple sale barges. If someone comes in and says, I really want to buy a ghost, I'm not going to say, yes, it's $250. Sorry, it's $250. I'm going to say, why don't you buy something else? Why don't you wait for the re-release? Why don't you buy something that you can get that is affordable? And re-releasing these sets, I fully expect the set to be re-released. Will it bother me? Absolutely not. Because for the kids to re-release the set with new figures, updated stuff, is great. That is great for the kids. This is not for kids. This is for adults, and it's a completely different market. And I really do think that Lego is making a mistake. But what am I going to do? What have people done with their other re-releases? Well, re-releases have happened in the past, right? The Black Seas Barracuda was a re-release back in the early 2000s, right? They released some of those classic ships, but that's one of the interesting things about history, is if the re-release or the forgery or the theft happened far enough ago in antiquity, then it's okay. But if it's done recently, then it really, really affects the market. I think that's one of the most bizarre things, that if you stole some ancient artifact long enough ago, it's still yours, but if you stole it recently, it's not. Anyway, so LEGO has re-released stuff, and like the toy shop in the holiday series, people took and bought the second one and made a bigger toy shop. That's great. What are you going to do with a second Taj Mahal? Create another one upside down for the reflecting pool? That's one option. Actually, what am I going to do with mine? I'm going to take what those authors said to heart, and you know what this is? This is the greatest collection of white snow bricks that you can get in any one box. So my second one is going to be great. I'm going to have over 3,500 white pieces to accessorize my holiday village. So until next time, LEGO on!